Okay, so our journey in Jonah continues with the first part of Jonah 3:3. And the reason why I'm doing just a little bit of the verse is because I want to look at two interesting words in the first part of Jonah 3:3. The first word is a middle weak verb, also called a hollow verb because the middle letter tends to go away, and I'm left with nothing in the middle. And then also halak is an important word, a high frequency word, and it has some very interesting and unique features. So let's just take some time with the first part of Jonah 3:3. Can you pronounce that? Here's how I would pronounce it. Vayakam Yonah Vayelik El Nineveh Kidvar Yahweh. Okay, so the translation here is this word is from kum, to rise, and arose Jonah, and Jonah arose. Remember, the verb tends to come first, and then the subject. We know the vav, and we know vav patak doubling. That's a converted imperfect. We know the yod. That's a third masculine, in this case singular, preformative. So, and Jonah arose, and then here's another verb, and he went. This is from halak. But where did the hay go? What the hay? Back to that in a moment. But we know the vav is and. We know vav patak doubling is converted. All right, so and he went, and he walked. And he literally walked. It's not just figurative. He walked because that's what you do. Now, I don't know, maybe he had a horse. But anyway, or a donkey. That's not important right now. El Nineveh, we've seen that expression before. To, El means to, and Nineveh. The ka, I'm not sure if we've seen ka in Zamit. We've seen it in our vocabulary. I told you that ka is a very high frequency word, once upon a time, used well over 2,000 times. I think it's much higher number than that, although I don't remember exactly. It means like or as or according to. So, he went to Nineveh according to the word of Yahweh, as the word of Yahweh told him to. Devar here is construct. Again, I don't know that we've seen this either, or if we have, I didn't point it out. This is in construct. So the word is davar, a vocabulary word we had early on in, if you're doing the Udemy course that I created. It was a kamatz. In its vocabulary form, it's a kamatz patak, which is fairly normal. So what happens in the construct, in, say, the masculine singular, you know what there's a special construct ending for the feminine singular, and there's a special construct ending for the masculine plural, and so forth. But there's no special ending for the masculine singular when it goes construct. What happens is you suck all the air out of the vowels. And so this was a long a kamatz, and it's been sucked out until there's barely any sound left. It's just a shava. Actually, it's actually become a silent schwa. I won't go through the process of how it all worked. But basically, anyway, you had two schwas here, and it became a heroic silent schwa. But what I'm getting at is the air has been sucked out, and the patak, of course, was already small. So that you know a masculine singular construct sometimes because the vowels have all gone short. So anyway, if the last word in the construct chain is definite, then all the words are. So I can say as the word of Yahweh because Yahweh is a definite God. All right. So I want to spend the rest of the video looking at this word, Vayakam and Vayelik. Those two words are very interesting. So let's start with Vayakam. Vayakam is from kum. Kum is a middle weak. Its second consonant is a sharuk or a vav. And what happens is, so these are sometimes called hollow verbs because the middle letter tends to go ar, 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 and run away. And it has. Where did it go? Vayakam, it's gone. And so this happens with middle with middle yod and with middle vav. That tends to happen. So kum is a middle weak verb, and in the converted imperfect, which is what we have here, right? Vav patak doubling, it's converted yod imperfect, third masculine singular. If there'd been a sharuk at the end, we could have said third masculine plural, but without that, it's just third masculine singular. He went. He arose. He arose. No, it's a different he. Anyway, but so converted means, again, that's bad, Ken. It's a preterite. It's the form of the true past tense. And he did it. But you can see what happens that with middle weak verbs, the middle letter goes away in the preterite or the converted imperfect. It goes away. Okay, so I wanted to talk about one aspect of middle weak verbs. The middle letter goes away in the converted imperfect. Okay, so let's look at halak. The hey has gone away, which is really strange. The rest of it is pretty normal. If we didn't know any better, we would say, what? Well, we wouldn't know what this is. What is this? Is this a middle weak? Where a middle letter has gone away? This is the problem, the CSI of Hebrew with weak verbs. Sometimes letters disappear. And was this a third hey that went away? Was this a middle weak that went away? Was this a initial yod that kind of coalesced into the yod of the performative and went away? Actually, that might be close to what's going on here, because there's a variation of halak in the history of Hebrew that was yalak. And so it may very well be that what happens is sometimes halak pretends like it's a first yod. But in any case, we saw this with commands, even in, was it verse 2 of the previous verse, or maybe anyway. I think in 3:2 we saw lake as a command, go, and the hey had gone away. Well, here you can see that in the converted imperfect, in the preterite of halak, the hey also goes away. All right, so this has been a video on how sometimes letters go away in the converted imperfect. With middle weak verbs, the middle letter goes away. With halak, the first letter goes away. With first yods, if it's yod, sometimes they save space and just do one yod. And this also happens with third heys. So if you take haya, which ends in a kamatz hey, its converted imperfect is vayahi, and you lose the final hey. So a lot of times in the converted imperfect, a letter goes away. The third hey goes away, the middle weak goes away, and the first letter of halak goes away, and sometimes the yod of a first yod coalesces into the yod of the performative. And there you have it. This has been Jonah 3:3a.